Hey, everybody, welcome to 30 Minute Theology. We're going to take a few minutes here today to answer some question, or not answer, but kind of reply uh, to some questions that I asked this gentleman whose name is Tony. We have been going back and forth on MindShift's atheist channel about some questions, and he was nice enough to respond to them. A lot of the atheists will not respond in kind. Tony was nice enough to do just that, and I want to give him a nice rebuttal to what he posted because we had a lot, and when you start posting a lot on YouTube, it gets a little lost, and YouTube starts blocking you. So Tony, this is an opportunity, and I'll post this video, and you'll have an opportunity to, answer me back, and we can see. But I do appreciate him giving me a response because a lot of times, and actually, the guy I sent these to did not respond. So Tony was nice enough to respond, and it may have just been because, like I said, sometimes YouTube does kind of block things, but it seemed to go through. I don't know. Anyway, Tony was nice enough to do so. So let's get into it. Let me move myself out of the way. Zoom, it's always in the way of something. All right. So the questions I gave are italics, but he opens up with this. Atheism is not a worldview. It's simply a lack of belief in God or gods. That being said, I will give you my point of view on your questions. These are views of mine and may not be representative views of other atheists. I will tell you, Tony, that what you gave me is what a lot of atheists do give. They are very close to the same thing. I will say to you in all respect, the constant, or not the constant, but the same old response that atheism is not a worldview is a cop out. It is. It is. We all have worldviews. We all have a way of seeing how the earth, how our world should function. Atheists have worldviews. They just don't want to admit it. So I would suggest to you that you kind of relook at that, and part of that is what I'm going to be dealing with here with you. That you do have a worldview. It's not very well formulated, and it kind of, to be honest, takes a easy way out. And I think for people who say that they are deep thinkers and that they are people who look for evidence and look for proof and go with the science, um, there's a lot of bailing on going in here. So just want to say that with all due respect. But let's jump into here. And so you'll see my question in italics. Explain the origins of the universe. Do you believe that something came from nothing? And Tony says that we know that the universe exists. Absolutely. We're living in it, so we have to know it exists, and that it's currently expanding. Absolutely. Currently expanding. We have the telescopes that tell us that. Originally Hubble, and now I think, what is it? Webb. I'm not sure of the name of the new one. Fantastic views you can get out of that. We don't know what occurred prior to a certain point because the math breaks down. Well, actually, the math doesn't break down. The math clearly shows us that the universe and everything created in the universe is extremely complex, and that level of complexity cannot have happened by random choice. There's just no way. There are plenty of um, information out there. Of course, Dr. Stephen Myers is one of the biggest ones who's put out there about the mathematics of the universe and the complexity of the universe. And he also does the him and David Berlinski do a video on the mathematics of evolution and why that doesn't work. There's just not been enough time, nor would there ever be enough time for random mutation and random chance to get us the complexity that we have today. So complexity on its own shows us that our universe is not just a random circumstances. And to sit there and say that we don't know, I'm going to be honest, it's just a cop out. It's just a cop out. We have a lot of information, and we can know that something complex doesn't come from a random chance. So I would say that you would look a little deeper into that. It may upset some of your conceived notions, or it may, reinforce it. Don't know, but I think you need to look a little deeper. And then you finish that this is not something coming from nothing. Yeah, and but that is the basic atheistic view, is that something came from nothing, and that has to be defended in some way, and it's undefensible as far as I'm concerned. You don't seem to want to defend it, and that's good. But I think to just say we don't know is really just bailing on the question. So challenge you to look a little deeper into that, and maybe come back with a bit more of an answer, maybe after looking into it. Second, so explain evil and suffering from an atheistic system. Evil is a religious concept. Really? So then my question to you is, if religion is if evil is a religious concept, then why do atheists have an issue with it? Then there is really, because you guys say there are no gods, there is no God. So if there is no God, there is no religion, and if there is no religion, then there is no evil. Whoops. Let's go back. Sorry about that. Morality is a subjective concept that takes into account empathy and consent. Not always. Not always. And you're going to have a problem with morality is a subjective concept, because if morality is a subjective concept, then the Holocaust wasn't a bad thing. Murder is not a bad thing. Rape is not a bad thing. It's all morally subjective. And I don't know about you, but if someone were to go out and murder or rape a member of my family, and then they would turn around and they would say, well, in my morality, it's okay for me to do that. There is no objective standard by which you have, and just saying that empathy and consent is somehow going to get you to a place of objective morality is not happening. But let me continue to read. Empathy is the ability to care about other beings and their welfare. But we can clearly see that on our planet that is something that really doesn't exist in a great deal, because most people don't have empathy for their fellow human beings, and exactly they could care less if a certain group would die. We know that there's a terrorist group that is totally committed to completely wiping out every Jew on this planet. I don't think they have a bit of empathy for any of them. So where is their empathy? Why do they care? We have tons of people walking on the streets who show no empathy or care as they slaughter each other wholesale in cities like Chicago and New York and Los Angeles. So empathy, don't very small supply of that. This is a survival trait that allows us to form families and communities. So basically, what you're saying is that this is just Darwinian survival of the fittest, and that we do things. So open warfare, attacking weaker people, in the need for me to, because I empathize only with my tribe and my group, allows me to go out and attack others and slaughter them, because I have more empathy for my group than I have for them. And I know that there are some folks out there who push that. John Gray, who is one of those. He's the writer of Straw Dogs. That is his contention. He is an atheist, and his contention is that we should live by the survival of the fittest. We should have no laws. We should have No objective moral standards. It is, dog eat dog. Whoever's the strongest will make it, and that's the way it should be. I'm not saying that that's your total point, but that's kind of where you're heading that direction. This extends beyond just our species to our pets. Yes, we love our pets, but no other animal in the animal kingdom loves another animal outside of its species. They don't. Not where we're not the controlling factor. So just naturally out in the wilderness, dogs will attack cats. Cats will attack mice or birds. So only in a human controlled atmosphere will that not happen. In the natural and in the wild, that doesn't happen. So don't necessarily agree with that. Consent is a critical part of morality. Okay, but then that means we all have to consent. And if one doesn't consent, then no one consents. See, that's the problem with consent. We all have to consent. And then if you don't consent, well, then it's, mob rule. It's the majority. So then the majority makes the minority consent. And typically they make them consent by force. Hence why when Mao decided in the Glorious Revolution that those people who did not want to consent to his way, well, he just killed them. So if you don't want to consent, you die. That's not really a way to do morality. But here, and is that if that person does not consent to that action, then it's generally considered immoral. No, no. Actually, Mao thought everything what he was doing was totally moral. There's more that can be discussed about this, including I'm not sure what the trolley problem is, but that is the basics. All right, wow, that so my contention is that why do atheists have an issue with the things that God does in the Bible? Because you guys call that evil, and you say God is acting evilly, but evil you say is just a religious concept. So why do you care? Why care? Why is it even a burden? Why is it a big deal? It just seems to be something you want to poke at holes at. So when you say, okay, God doesn't exist, there is no God, explain evil and suffering, you have no, this is not an explanation. You are not explaining why evil and suffering take place. You are just giving a concept of somewhat of morality, but you're not explaining why men do evil events, why people are suffering now on this planet. You have no explanation for that in the atheistic system. There is none. I'm just be honest. This is not an explanation. It's just not. I can explain suffering and evil. I can. Man is fallen. Man, in his free will, chose to rebel against God, and hence, because of his rebellion, man's nature is evil from the beginning. Hence, all that he does is selfish and self-centered. Hence, that selfishness and self-centered causes evil. But that is a free will act of men. Atheists reject free will. But we'll hit that a little more here in a second. Let's head on to number 3. Excuse me, I'm sorry. So explain justice for those who have been victims of evil, especially when the criminal escapes justice in this life. And I'm going to read you his whole statement. Some of you can read it, but you may just be listening. I am not comfortable with the ideal of retribution as a form of justice. For myself, I recognize that I can hurt others even if I don't mean to. If that occurs, then I am made aware of it, and then I seek to make amends with that person or persons. I take responsibility for my actions and ask the same of others. I recognize that I cannot control what other people do, but I think it's reasonable for me to defend myself and the people I care about. Yes, and I would agree. It is your absolute right to defend yourself and the people you care about. However, so your daughter is raped, and her rapist escapes uh, escapes justice. That rapist is never found. He never has to. You were not given the opportunity to protect your daughter. She will never have an opportunity to face her accused. He will never be punished in this life. So he is allowed to actually continue on because he's escaped judges and probably to victimize more people. Um, so justice never comes to him. He is able to get away with it, and then he dies, and he dies into nothingness. So your daughter has no way of getting justice. There is no justice for her ever. That gives no hope. I know that people who have done wrong cannot escape God's justice. They can't. Every person will be judged for the crimes that they commit. Even if they escape it in this life, they will be judged. And God is the just God, and he will judge according to their deeds. So that person who has been victimized and says this person has escaped justice, I can tell them with all confidence that no, that person will not escape justice. That person will be judged by God. You can't give them that security. You can only say to them, yeah, they got away with it. Sorry, that's your bad luck. And tell me where there's any peace in that. Tell me where there's any satisfaction with that. Yeah, it basically what you're saying sucks for you, sucks for you. That you got raped, sucks for you. Someone came in and stole everything from your house. Yeah, it sucks for you. Someone came and murdered your son. Sucks for you. That's basically what you're saying to these people. That's not a good response. Actually, that's kind of sad. And I, I don't think you're a bad person, but I don't think you've really thought this through. This is not us trying to be retributing. This is not us seeking vengeance. We are actually told God tells us not to seek vengeance. So if you know, I am not to do things outside of what God's law says. So that's God's job to seek vengeance, and He shall do that, and He shall do that justly. So I don't seek vengeance. What I seek is justice. I seek for that person to be punished for the crimes that they've committed. And I know that if some way they escape human justice, they will not escape God's justice. You can't give them any hope of or security of that. And I would challenge you to rethink this, because I don't know that you can really. If someone came to you, I think you may have lived a life that has secured you from the evils of this world a bit. But personally, people have done heinous things to my family, and I don't go and hunt them down with a posse. I allow the system to take care of that, and I am secure in that. But I'm also secure that if they escape the humans, they will not escape God. So I have a personal peace with that part. Let's hit the next one. Oops, little too fast on the gun. Sorry about that. What is the nature of man? Is he good, neutral, or evil? Why? Your response. Humans are animals, that we are capable of empathy and rational, logical thoughts. We are also often ruled by our rationality, acting out without thinking. When we cooperate, we can accomplish wonderful things. When we are in conflict, we are capable of terrible things. So basically, I'm going to take this as you believe that humans are neutral, that they're not necessarily bad or evil. I do have a concern with your first statement that humans are animals. That is dehumanizing us. That is just making us another creature upon this planet. And if I can dehumanize you, if I can take your value away from you, then slaughtering you is not a problem. You're just a you're just another animal. You're just another pig. You're just another cow. This is what the Nazis did. This is what the Islamists do, especially with the Jews. They dehumanize them. This is what we do today in the abortion field. We call the unborn fetuses, and we call them clumps of cells. We dehumanize, and that's what you just did. You dehumanized us all by calling us animals. I am not an animal. I'm a human being. I am made in the image of God. I have value and I have worth. Um, and that, yes, does that make me better than the rest of the animals on this planet? Absolutely. Because the rest of the animals on this planet cannot do what I can do. And that is because God has given me that ability. You may not see that way, but I want you to challenge you that the fact that you just dehumanized every person on this planet by calling them animals. Um, just because we're capable of empathy and rational thought doesn't mean anything. Being capable of something doesn't mean we actually are going to do it. I will tell you from the Christian standpoint, humans are evil. And that's pretty easy to verify. No child has to be taught how to lie, they do it automatically. If you ask a child did they take something they weren't supposed to, they will tell you no. They will lie to you. If you ask them if they took something, did they steal it? They will say, no, I did not take it. Um, they have no problem going up and hitting someone if it means for them to get what they want. So we don't have to be taught how to be bad. We do it naturally. It is natural for us. We have to talk. We have to teach our kids and ourselves to be good. We have to teach empathy. We have to teach rational, logical thoughts. Those have to be taught. They do not come natural to the human. We are naturally selfish, self-centered. We want what we want. We don't care about what others want. And I think that's pretty evident. Um, can we cooperate? Sure, we can. And when we cooperate, can we do wonderful things? Absolutely, we can. But our nature is that we're self-centered and self-focused. And I think that evolutionary Darwinism teaches that. It truly does. It teaches that man is survival of the fittest means that we are self-centered and self-focused. So I'm not sure how you um, say that we're humans, which means that you believe in, Darwin evolutionary theory, um, but then you deny Darwin evolutionary theory by saying that man's not self-centered. That seems to conflict. Just saying. But to me, it's pretty evident and clear. Uh, and this is, one of the reasons why I believe that there's a God, because he has revealed that truth to us. Um, where do morals come from? Are there any objective morals, truth, or is everything subjective? You say repeat three. I'm going to be honest, dude. That's just a total cop out. That's just a total cop out. It really is. And I'm going to just be brutally honest. Atheists cop out of this one every time. When you ask them where morality comes from, they have no response. And that's basically what you did. You have no response. You cannot say, where do my morals come from? You cannot say what in me knows that it's wrong to take things from other people. We know this, right? There's a part of us that knows that we have to. Now we fight against it. We absolutely fight against it because my selfish, evil nature will fight against that. But there is something inside of me that says taking stuff from other people is wrong. Can I overcome that? Absolutely. Do it. The people do it all the time. But we know that there's an objective moral standard. We know that you're not supposed to kill people. We know that you're not supposed to steal from them. We know you shouldn't sleep with another man's wife. We know it's not good to lie and make up stuff about my neighbor. We know lots of all this stuff, and we know it inside of us, but yet that's somehow a mystery to atheists, and they don't want to deal with it. So to me, uh, that's really a cop out. It is. It's just a cop out. And sorry. Uh, so explain human self-awareness, intelligence, emotions such as anger, compassion, and love. Consciousness is an emergent property that comes from having a brain. Okay, so animals have a brain. Animals have a brain. Okay. We are not the only species that display this either. Actually, we are. What we self-impose, so we humanize animals, and we say, well, that's that animal being that. That's the animal showing me love, or this is the animal being angry. No, that's us imposing our emotions upon the animal. The animal doesn't have those things. It's just us imposing it upon there. We humanize animal. This is what I refer to as the Bambi syndrome. Everybody watches the Disney movie. Everybody makes, because the animals talk in the movies, and now we're all humanizing animals. This is also one of the biggest pushes for the animal rights people. And I'm not saying we should abuse animals. That's not what I'm saying. But when we humanize animals, we dehumanize people, and that's just not true. So I thoroughly reject that, and I think that's pretty self-evident that it's us putting the emotions on the animal. It's not the animal actually having emotions. Emotions stem from our survival traits. So again, our emotions are just fizzing chemicals. That's all they are. There's nothing inherently special about our emotions. They're just a process of fizzing chemicals that come out of our head. Is that what you're basically saying? Okay. Emotions stem from our survival traits. Empathy allows us to be aware of others and to cooperate, only when it suits our needs. So we only have empathy for those who are closest to us, and it can help us survive. The first time that they do not do it exactly the way we want it, we will turn on them in a heartbeat. So kind of doesn't work. And that really doesn't explain where it comes from. Okay, that was the question. Explain human self-awareness. Where, explain it. Where does it come from? You're saying it's just a chemical fizzing process of our brains. That's basically what I get. When empathy is reciprocated, it strengthens our social bonds. Okay, here again, you're talking about something that happens, but usually the exact opposite happens constantly, because that's just the way men are. And so they both increase our adrenaline and allow us to either fight or flight. Okay, so it's all just chemicals. It's just a chemical process, and you are no more than your chemical process. So it's really not love, it's just a chemical process. It's really not anger, it's just a chemical process. It's really not compassion, it's just a chemical process. That's all it is. It's a chemical process. Just okay. I mean, if that's where you want to go with that, but so I should be able to take, you know, a chemical process, and using the scientific method, right? Using the scientific method, I should be able to take those chemicals into a lab, mix them together, and love should come out. So I should be able to make a love potion. I should be able to, yeah, and that's utter nonsense. I should be able to make people compassionate if I just mix the right amount of chemicals together. right? And shoot them with electrical impulses. Basically, they were Frankenstein. We're in the Frankenstein moment now. So I take the right chemicals and I mix them together and I introduce just enough of the right amount of electricity. I can produce these emotions. That's what you're saying, because it's just a chemical process. It's just the functioning of our brains. And the functioning of my brain is synapses firing, chemicals flowing, bubbling, right? So I should be able to reproduce that in the lab. You can't. You can't. All right. Well, that's it. Tony, I do appreciate it. I hope you get an opportunity to answer these. Would love to interact with you more, but that's all we got for today. Everybody have a great day. God bless. We will check you out later.